What if the only thing holding you back is the sentence you keep repeating to yourself every day? It sounds simple, maybe even too simple. But the truth is, the words you speak in your mind shape the life you live. They aren't just thoughts. They are commands. Orders sent directly to your subconscious. And every time you repeat them, you make them stronger. You build them like bricks in the walls of your belief system. The scary part? Most people don't even realize they're doing it. They wake up and immediately replay the same script. I'm not good enough. I'm tired. I can't do this. Over and over, again and again, until it becomes their truth, until it becomes their prison. But here's something powerful no one tells you. Your brain doesn't care if it's true or false. It only cares how often it hears it. If you repeat something long enough, your brain starts to believe it. Whether it's empowering or destructive, your mind will absorb it and act on it. That's how habits are formed. That's how belief is built. Not by what's real, but by what's repeated. And that means something incredible. It means you have the power to change it. Right now. Starting today. Think about that. You can break free from the old beliefs, the lies, the limitations. You can replace them with new ones, strong ones, ones that pull you forward instead of holding you down. All you have to do is choose the right words, then repeat them again and again, with intention, with emotion, with faith. And eventually, they stop feeling like lies. They start to feel real. And then they are real. That's not magic. That's how your mind works. This isn't just about motivation. This is about transformation. It's about taking control of the only thing you truly own, your inner world. Because once you control your thoughts, you control your actions. And once you control your actions, you change your results. It all starts with a sentence. Just a few words, spoken over and over, until they become your foundation, your identity, your truth. So if you've been stuck, if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. This is your turning point. The old story is over. You don't need to repeat weakness. You don't need to echo fear. From this moment forward, you get to choose your script. You get to say, I am strong. I am capable. I am becoming everything I was meant to be. And if you say it long enough, you will believe it. That belief will shape your choices. Those choices will shape your future. Stay with this. Because in the next few minutes, you're going to discover how to rewire your thinking, replace old patterns, and build a belief system so powerful, it will change your life. One word at a time, one thought at a time, one repetition at a time. Keep watching, because your transformation is already beginning. Your words are building your life, whether you realize it or not. Every thought you repeat, every sentence you whisper in your head becomes a seed. And the mind doesn't question what kind of seed you plant. It simply nurtures it. If you say, I'm not enough, your mind begins shaping a life that fits that belief. If you say, I always fail, your brain starts filtering your experiences to make that true. Not because it's fact, but because it's familiar. The brain loves repetition. It trusts it. It surrenders to it. And that's why your self-talk is the most powerful force shaping your future. Most people live on autopilot. They speak without listening, they think without questioning, and they wonder why they feel stuck. But the truth is, hidden in plain sight, they're repeating the wrong things. Thoughts filled with doubt, words soaked in fear, silent sentences that steal their energy, confidence, and clarity. And they don't even notice. It becomes their normal. But normal doesn't mean right. It just means repeated. If your mind has been fed poison long enough, it starts to feel like nourishment. But you know better now. You feel the difference. Deep down, you know your inner dialogue must change. And here's the most important truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who hears them, which means you can interrupt them. You can reshape them. You can take the same power that once dragged you down and use it to lift yourself higher. It begins the moment you stop accepting every thought as truth. The moment you stop giving your energy to beliefs that hurt you. The moment you choose to speak life into your mind instead of fear. Imagine waking up and hearing a different voice in your head, one that encourages you, one that reminds you who you really are, one that says, you're not broken, you're becoming. That's not fantasy, that's a result of consistent, intentional repetition, a new habit, a new program built word by word, day by day. and you are the one who installs it. You are the one who chooses what gets repeated and what gets replaced. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about building strength from the inside out, speaking courage into your soul when fear tries to rise, planting seeds of belief when doubt wants to dominate. You will feel resistance. You will hear the old voice trying to pull you back. But don't stop. Keep speaking truth. Keep repeating what empowers you, because with every repetition, the old voice fades, and the new one grows stronger. Your words are not just noise, they are tools. Use them with purpose. Shape your identity. Design your destiny. Not someday, not when it's convenient, but now, in this moment, because every repetition is a choice. Every sentence is a step, and every thought you command becomes the foundation of who you become. Speak wisely, repeat with power, and soon belief will no longer be something you reach for. It will be something you live. The shift begins the moment you stop being passive with your mind, the moment you refuse to let old thoughts play on repeat without permission. Your mind is not a dumping ground for fear, doubt, or regret. It's a battlefield, and every thought is a weapon. The question is, are you using those weapons against yourself or for yourself? When you let negative thoughts loop unchecked, they grow roots. They begin to shape your emotions, your mood, your energy, your actions. And over time, they don't just visit, you start to live with them. You build your days around them. But what if you didn't have to? You do not have to let old thoughts define who you are. You do not have to replay the same patterns and call it destiny. You were not born to be a prisoner of past programming. You were born to rewrite it. Repetition is how the mind learns. But it's also how the mind unlearns. Every time you say something new, something true, something strong, you chip away at the old. It may feel uncomfortable at first. It may even feel fake. But that's not because it's a lie. It's because it's unfamiliar. And what's unfamiliar feels wrong to a brain that's lived in fear for too long. You must be louder than the doubt. You must speak life with volume and conviction, even when your voice shakes, even when your hands tremble, even when your heart doesn't fully believe it yet. Because belief doesn't come before repetition, it comes from it. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Speak the words anyway. Repeat them anyway. Declare them anyway. Over time, they begin to feel less like effort and more like truth, less like hope and more like identity. Your brain listens to you more than anyone else. It trusts what you say. It absorbs what you repeat. That's why casual self-talk is dangerous. You think it's nothing, but your subconscious hears it all. It remembers and it acts. That's why the smallest negative phrase can become the biggest block. And the smallest positive phrase, if repeated with power, can become your greatest weapon. The voice in your head is always talking. The question is, who trained it? Was it built by fear, failure, and pain? Or are you now taking the pen and writing something new? Every time you say, I can't, your brain believes you a little more. Every time you say, I will, it starts searching for a way. You are not weak because you've struggled. You are powerful because you now see it. You now know the truth. You are the programmer, the architect, the voice. So speak with clarity, repeat with courage, and do it again, and again, and again, until the old voice fades, until the new one leads, until the words you once forced yourself to say become the words you live by. This is how belief is built. This is how you change everything. Every breakthrough begins in the mind. Before it shows up in your actions, before it reflects in your results, it starts with a thought you chose to believe, not just once, but over and over, until it becomes a part of you. That's the power of repetition. It's how you go from wishing to knowing, from doubting to doing. Repetition isn't just about memory, it's about identity. Say something long enough, and you don't just remember it, you become it. That's why what you repeat matters more than anything, because you are building yourself with every word you allow to stay. The reason most people stay stuck is because they keep repeating what broke them. They rehearse their failures. They echo their fears. They feed their pain by telling the same story every day. I always mess up. I'm not smart enough. I'll never change. It becomes their inner soundtrack playing quietly but constantly. They think they're just being honest, but they're not. They're being programmed, and that program is robbing them of the life they could have. A life built on truth, built on strength, built on a new story, one they choose. But a new story doesn't begin with big actions. It starts with simple words. It starts with you catching yourself when the old thought tries to rise, interrupting it, replacing it, speaking a new phrase, even if your voice is quiet, even if your heart isn't sure yet. That's how you take your power back. That's how you rewire the narrative, because your brain is listening, your soul is listening, and repetition will shape what they believe. There is a science to belief, but there's also a fire to it, something raw, something personal, something only you can ignite. And it starts with ownership. You must own what you allow into your mind. You must own the phrases you choose to repeat, because no one is coming to rescue your mindset. No one is going to install belief for you. That's your work, that's your fight, and it's worth everything. When you choose your words with purpose, you change the direction of your life. Slowly at first, quietly, but then momentum builds, thoughts shift, confidence rises, you feel different, you walk differently, you begin to expect more, and that shift deep inside is the beginning of everything you've been waiting for, not because the world changed, but because your belief did. This is the unseen work, the quiet discipline, the mental training that no one sees, but it's the most important work you'll ever do. Because belief is not something you are given, it's something you build, one thought at a time, one sentence at a time, one decision at a time. Repeat the words that give you power, drown out the ones that drain you. And never forget, every time you speak strength into your life, you move one step closer to becoming everything you were meant to be. Keep repeating truth until it drowns the lie. Keep going until your belief becomes unshakable. If you want to change your life, you must first change your language. The words you speak, especially the ones you repeat silently to yourself, become the blueprint for everything you experience. The mind builds what the mouth declares. It doesn't care if the words are positive or negative, helpful or harmful. It only knows what it's told. And if you keep feeding it weakness, it will make you weak. If you keep feeding it fear, it will make you afraid. But if you start feeding it strength, it will make you unstoppable. This is not wishful thinking. This is how your brain works. It follows the lead of your repetition. You've repeated defeat long enough. You've told yourself what you can't do more times than you even realize. And those thoughts didn't just stay in your mind. They bled into your actions. They decided what chances you didn't take, what goals you didn't pursue, what parts of your potential you left unexplored. That's what repetition does. It sets the ceiling, and you've been living under one that's too low. But you can raise it, you can shatter it. And it starts with new words, spoken with conviction, repeated with purpose, burned into your identity. The brain doesn't resist what's repeated, it adjusts, it adapts. It aligns with what it hears most. And if you are not controlling the message, then someone or something else is. You cannot afford to let your mind become a passive receiver of negativity. You cannot afford to casually speak limits over your life. Every sentence matters. Every affirmation is either building you or breaking you. And if you're not choosing those words on purpose, then you are living by default, not by design. Repetition creates certainty, and certainty gives birth to courage. When you speak strength again and again, you build a foundation that fear cannot penetrate. Doubt may still knock, but it won't get in. Not when your belief is louder. Not when your internal dialogue has been trained to rise instead of retreat. That training is not an accident. It is a decision to repeat the words that match the life you want, not the pain you've known. You were not made to echo weakness. You were made to speak victory into existence. Your thoughts are powerful, but your words are the trigger. Say it enough, and your body will follow. Say it enough, and your mind will align. Say it enough, and your soul will wake up to the truth of who you are. That truth is already in you. It's just been buried under the noise. But now you clear the path. Now you raise the volume. Now you take back control. You don't need permission to believe in yourself. You need practice. You need repetition. Every day, every moment, say the words that lift you, say the words that carry power, and keep saying them until belief is no longer something you chase. It becomes the air you breathe. There comes a moment when you stop waiting to feel ready, when you stop hoping for someone to validate your path or confirm your potential. Because deep down, you already know. You've always known. The voice inside you, the one whispering that you are more than your past, more than your fear, more than your mistakes, is right. But that voice can only grow louder if you feed it. It only becomes powerful when you repeat it. You cannot silence the noise of doubt with more silence. You silence it with bold, repeated truth, spoken out loud, carried with emotion, anchored in belief. That is how confidence is created, not found, not given, created. When you declare something with enough repetition, your mind begins to treat it as fact, and facts shape how you move through life. Most people never challenge the facts they've been living by. They accept their limitations as truth just because they've been repeated for so long. But repetition is not proof, it's just practice. So ask yourself, what have you been practicing? What have you trained your mind to believe? That you're not good enough? That success is for someone else? That you'll never change? That story only continues because you keep telling it. You have the power to rewrite the script, to speak a new truth until it feels natural, until it becomes the automatic response, until the old narrative no longer fits the person you are becoming. But that transformation demands intention. You must choose your words like your future depends on it, because it does. This is not about fake positivity. It's about choosing mental fuel that actually moves you forward, that reminds you of who you are, that strengthens you when life tries to break you down. The brain is always listening. Every time you say, I can't, it closes a door. But every time you say, I will, it starts building a bridge, a path forward, a new possibility. And with each repetition, that path becomes clearer, stronger, real. That's how belief is built, from the ground up, with nothing but words and the courage to keep speaking them, even when no one else sees it yet, even when your current reality hasn't caught up. Your words are the blueprint, and your repetition is the construction. If you want something different, you must build something different, thought by thought, word by word. This is how you rise, not by waiting for confidence to magically appear, but by building it with every repetition of strength. Speak what you need to hear, say it like you mean it. Say it until it becomes your truth. And when the old thoughts try to return, drown them out with the new. Not once, not twice, but as many times as it takes. Because this is your mind, this is your life. And it will follow the words you choose to repeat. So choose power, choose truth, choose belief, over and over again. Every time you speak, you're shaping your identity. Not the surface image that the world sees, but the deeper identity, the one that governs your actions, your decisions, your self-worth. And the most powerful part? You're shaping it whether you realize it or not. That's why your words must be intentional. They are not just sounds. They are instructions, commands, triggers. They activate beliefs that either lift you or limit you. Speak strength, and strength grows. Speak defeat, and defeat becomes familiar. You don't become confident by accident. You become confident by construction. And repetition is the tool. When you begin to say things like, I am disciplined, I am focused, I am enough, your mind doesn't question your past. It listens. It obeys. It begins to align with those statements. At first it feels like pretending, or like forcing something that doesn't fit. But over time it becomes your truth. Not because it always was, but because you kept saying it until it became real. That's how the mind works. It accepts repetition over evidence. And that means you're never stuck. You're never too far gone. You're just one consistent message away from transformation. Most people fail to change because they expect to feel different before they speak different. But it's the opposite. You must speak different before you feel different. The words come first. The feelings follow. You won't always feel powerful when you say, I am strong. But if you say it enough, you'll train your body to respond with strength. You won't always feel motivated when you say, I am focused. But if you repeat it, your mind will begin to prioritize what matters. This is how you train your brain to serve your future instead of your fear. Every lie you've believed about yourself was repeated until it felt like truth. That's why it hurts so deeply. It's not just a thought, it's a thought you've practiced. But practice can be changed. You can unlearn the lies. You can overwrite them with a new internal script. Not once, not sometimes, but every single day. You must become obsessed with truth, with power, with words that build instead of break. This is your responsibility. No one else can speak your future into existence for you. That is your work, and it's the most important work you'll ever do. Start with the words you need most, the ones you've been afraid to believe, the ones that feel too bold, too strong, too big. Those are the ones you need. Say them anyway. Let repetition make them familiar. Let consistency turn them into identity. You're not speaking for who you've been, you're speaking for who you're becoming. And if you want that person to rise, you must call them forward every day, through words, through belief, through repetition. This is how you reclaim your power. This is how you become unstoppable. Say it, repeat it, become it. The greatest shift in your life will come when you finally understand that repetition is not just a habit, it is power. True transformation doesn't happen in one moment of inspiration. It happens in the quiet, disciplined repetition of powerful thoughts, spoken over and over until they dissolve every trace of doubt. That's the truth most people miss. They think they need a breakthrough when what they really need is consistency. They want to feel something new without saying something new. But emotion follows language, action follows belief, and belief follows repetition. Your mind is always listening even when you're not. It records what you say and plays it back when you're tired, when you're uncertain, when you're weak. That playback becomes your inner voice. So what have you been teaching it to say? Have you been training your mind to push forward or pull back? To stand tall or shrink under pressure? Whatever answer comes to you, know this: it can be changed. No matter how long you've carried doubt, you can start today to feed your mind with something different, something stronger, something that serves the life you want to live. It's not about being perfect, it's about being deliberate. You don't have to always feel powerful. You just have to speak powerfully. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to speak as though you believe you'll find them. That's how courage is built. Not in massive leaps, but in small, repeated declarations. I am capable. I am rising. I am not finished. These words may feel like whispers at first, but if you keep repeating them, they grow louder. And when they grow louder, everything changes. The mind doesn't care if what you say is true. It only cares if it's repeated. That's why people believe their fears. That's why they believe they'll fail, because they've said it to themselves more times than they can count. So take that same power and turn it in your favor. Start repeating success. Start speaking identity. Not the identity shaped by failure, but the one shaped by fire, by resilience, by grit, by the refusal to quit. Say what you want to become until your mind has no choice but to accept it as fact. This is how you rise out of the shadows. This is how you silence the voice that tells you you're not enough. Not by fighting it once, but by outlasting it, outspeaking it, out-repeating it. The louder you speak your truth, the weaker the lies become. The more you declare your strength, the less space fear has to breathe. You are in control. Not your past, not your pain. You. So speak like it, repeat like it, live like it. Because once your words align with your destiny, nothing can stop the momentum you build. Not doubt, not delay, not fear. You will believe what you repeat. So make sure you are repeating what leads you forward. Every day, without pause, without apology, your mind is a fertile ground ready to grow whatever seeds you plant. If you sow seeds of doubt, fear, and limitation, you will harvest struggle, hesitation, and defeat. But if you plant seeds of belief, courage, and determination, your life will bloom with opportunity, strength, and victory. Repetition is the watering can, the sunlight, the steady rhythm of growth. Without it, even the strongest seed cannot become a mighty tree. You must commit to the daily practice of speaking your truth into existence, knowing that every word is a step closer to the life you crave. Think about the power you hold right now, not the power of circumstance or external approval, but the power to choose your thoughts, your words, and therefore your reality. This power is simple, yet profound. It's the force behind every change, every dream realized, every limit broken. But power ignored remains potential only. You must activate it by choosing what you repeat, by speaking your worth so many times that your brain no longer doubts it. This is not wishful thinking. It's the science of transformation in action. Your mind can be your greatest ally or your fiercest enemy, depending entirely on what you decide to feed it. When you feel weak, when the voices of failure echo loudest, your task is not to silence them by force, but to drown them out with louder declarations of your true self. Not with empty words, but with words that carry conviction, emotion, and a refusal to accept anything less than your greatness. This is a battle fought not on the outside but within, and it is won not with anger or frustration, but with steady, unwavering commitment to repetition. Speak your power until it becomes the foundation of your being. Speak your hope until it outshines every doubt. Speak your purpose until it becomes impossible to ignore. Repetition is also a shield. When challenges come, and they will try to knock you off course by triggering the old doubts and fears you once believed. But the stronger your repeated beliefs are, the less impact those challenges will have. Your repeated words build resilience. They create mental armor that protects your spirit and keeps your vision clear. You will not be easily shaken. You will not be easily swayed, because you have built a fortress of belief brick by brick, word by word, day by day. This is why your words matter so deeply. They are the invisible forces shaping your identity, your confidence, your destiny. You don't need permission to speak your greatness. You don't need proof to declare your strength. All you need is repetition. The more you say it, the more you become it. So own this process. Embrace the power of repetition as the most reliable path to transformation. Speak the truth of who you are meant to be until your mind, your heart, and your life answer in kind. This is your moment. Speak your future into existence. Repeat it relentlessly. Become unstoppable. Your words are the blueprint for your life. Every sentence you repeat lays the foundation for your reality. When you say, "I am capable," your brain begins to search for proof of that capability. When you say, "I am worthy," your heart starts to believe it's deserving of love and success. This process is relentless, powerful, and often invisible. You may not feel the change right away, but the wiring inside your mind is shifting, strengthening with every repetition. You become what you declare yourself to be, and nothing else has the power to change that. This is your most potent tool, your secret weapon, language repeated until it molds your very being. This means your daily internal dialogue is the battlefield of your future. Every thought, every word, every phrase spoken in your mind is a soldier either fighting for your dreams or betraying them. You have the authority to command these soldiers. You have the responsibility to lead them with clarity and purpose. When you repeatedly tell yourself, "I am strong, I am focused, or I will succeed," you are building an army that defends your potential against the chaos of doubt and fear. The mind doesn't judge the truthfulness of these words. It simply accepts what you feed it over and over again. That is why consistency matters more than perfection. Too many wait for confidence before they act, waiting for courage before they try. But this is backward. Confidence and courage are born in the repetition of brave words. You don't find courage, you create it by saying, "I can," until it becomes your truth. You don't gain confidence. You develop it by affirming your worth so many times that your mind has no choice but to believe. This is the cycle that leads to transformation, and it starts with the simple act of repeating positive, powerful truths about yourself. The more you repeat, the more those truths sink into your subconscious and steer your actions, your habits, your destiny. The greatest barrier to this process is doubt, the voice that says, "This isn't true," or "You're lying to yourself." This voice is loud and persistent because it's been fed for years. It is the product of old habits, negative experiences, and fear of change. But you have the power to starve it. You do this by refusing to repeat the doubts and instead choosing to repeat beliefs that serve your growth. The mind must have something to hold on to. Give it hope, strength, and purpose. Give it a script that propels you forward rather than holds you back. Repetition rewires the brain. It replaces the old story with a new one. Your story. This new story is the one you will live by. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your results. The cycle is unstoppable when fueled by consistent, intentional repetition. You are not bound by your past. You are not defined by your failures. You are the author of your future. So speak with intention. Repeat with conviction. Become the voice you want to hear in your mind. This is how you break free. This is how you become who you were meant to be. Every single day you make choices that shape the path ahead, whether consciously or unconsciously. The words you repeat are the most powerful choices of all. They are the forces that carve your reality, that determine the energy you bring into every moment. When you fill your mind with empowering phrases, you are choosing to live with intention, to fuel your actions with unstoppable belief. This is how ordinary moments become extraordinary. This is how potential turns into progress. The language you adopt is the compass that guides you through uncertainty and fear. If you want to change your direction, change your words first. The reason this works is rooted deep in the psychology of the human brain. The brain is wired to seek patterns and to conserve energy by repeating what it already knows. When you say something once, it barely registers, but say it 100 times, and it becomes a pattern, an automatic, unshakable pattern. This is why repetition is not just practice, it's transformation. It rewires your thoughts, emotions, and habits at their core. It changes the way you see yourself and the world. What once felt impossible becomes inevitable because your brain has accepted it as truth. You become the living embodiment of your repeated words. But this transformation requires relentless discipline. It is not enough to repeat positive words when you feel good. The real power lies in repeating them when you feel doubt, fear, or pain. It is in those moments that repetition works as a lifeline. When your mind says, "You can't," your voice must say, "I will." When your heart whispers, "I'm not enough," your words must roar, "I am more than enough." This resistance is where growth happens. It is the crucible in which your new identity is forged. By refusing to let the negative voice dominate, you take control of your inner world and, by extension, your outer world. Your repeated words are also a declaration of commitment. They tell your subconscious mind and your conscious self that you are serious about the change you want. This declaration creates a powerful internal contract that your mind honors by aligning your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors with your spoken truth. This is why the greatest transformations start with a simple yet profound act, choosing what you say to yourself and committing to repeating it until it becomes undeniable. It is the daily, intentional repetition that breaks down old barriers and builds new pathways toward your dreams. Nothing about this process is easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is. You will face resistance, both from within and without. Your mind will try to revert to old beliefs. The world will try to convince you that change is too hard or too late. But when you stand firm in your repeated words, you create a force so powerful it sweeps away doubt and fear like debris in a storm. This force becomes your new reality, your unstoppable momentum. You are not just speaking to yourself, you are commanding your destiny. So choose your words wisely. Repeat them fiercely. Because what you say to yourself today will become who you are tomorrow. The power of repeated words lies not only in what they say, but in what they make you feel. Repetition taps directly into the emotional centers of your brain, planting seeds of belief that grow stronger with every cycle. When you say, "I am worthy," or "I am capable," your mind doesn't just hear words. It experiences emotion, connection, and trust. These feelings anchor those words deep within you, shaping your identity at the core. The more emotion you attach to your repeated phrases, the more deeply they embed into your subconscious. This is why emotion is the fuel that makes repetition explode into transformation. Your emotions are the gatekeepers of change. Facts alone rarely shift deeply held beliefs, but feelings move mountains. When you repeat words with conviction, you are not just telling your mind what to believe, you are teaching your heart how to feel. This rewiring of feeling is what transforms passive hope into fierce determination. It creates an inner fire that refuses to be extinguished. You become unstoppable not because you lack fear or doubt, but because your repeated truths are louder and more powerful than any shadow of uncertainty. You rewrite your emotional script, replacing anxiety with calm, weakness with strength, and fear with courage. This emotional rewiring is also what makes repetition so dangerous when misused. Negative, limiting words repeated over time create the opposite effect. They anchor fear, build walls, and imprison your potential. That is why every word you choose to repeat must be deliberate, intentional, and aligned with your highest self. Your emotional energy is precious. Guard it fiercely. Protect it from toxic words and thoughts that drain your spirit. Instead, fill your mind with words that uplift, empower, and expand your vision of what is possible. The emotional charge behind your words is the magnet that draws your future toward you. Repetition transforms mere ideas into unshakable beliefs by creating emotional certainty. When you repeat, "I am confident," enough times with feeling, you stop questioning it. It becomes a fact in your mind. This certainty propels you forward even when circumstances try to push you back. It creates resilience, the ability to face setbacks, criticism, and failures without losing faith in yourself. Your repeated words become your armor and your shield. They give you the strength to stand tall when others doubt you and to keep moving when the road feels impossible. The mind seeks consistency. When your words and emotions are aligned and repeated often, your subconscious accepts them as truth. It changes how you see yourself and how you behave. Your thoughts, feelings, and actions begin to mirror your repeated declarations. This is the cycle of transformation in motion. It starts inside your mind but shows up everywhere in your life. How you speak, how you act, how you respond. Your repeated words are the blueprint, and your emotions are the energy building your new reality. Together, they create unstoppable momentum toward the life you want. This is why the words you choose to repeat matter more than anything else. They create the reality you live in. They build the future you move toward. They define who you are at your deepest level. So choose words that inspire courage when fear tries to hold you back. Choose words that create strength when you feel weak. Choose words that spark hope when all seems lost. Repeat them with emotion. Repeat them relentlessly. Because in the power of your repeated words lies the power to change everything. Every thought you allow to repeat in your mind becomes a thread weaving the fabric of your reality. These threads either build strength or unravel your foundation. The repeated words you choose are the loom on which your life's pattern is formed. This is why control over your inner dialogue is the most powerful tool you possess. If you want to change your life, you must master this tool with unwavering focus. You cannot afford to be passive. Every time doubt, fear, or limitation sneaks into your thoughts, you must actively replace it with a deliberate, empowering phrase. This is not a game of chance. It is an act of conscious creation. Your subconscious mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It accepts repeated input as truth. When you repeatedly tell yourself, "I am strong," your mind constructs a version of you that embodies strength. When you say, "I am capable," you build a mental image of competence that guides your actions. This is not magic, it is science. The neurons in your brain fire together and wire together. Every repetition strengthens these connections. Over time, your repeated words become automatic responses. They shape your reactions, your decisions, your sense of self. This is how belief becomes identity, how repetition becomes transformation. But repetition is not enough on its own. It must be paired with emotional intensity. When your repeated words are emotionally charged, they ignite the brain's reward centers. This creates a craving to hear those words again, reinforcing their impact. You begin to crave positivity, courage, and confidence because your brain starts associating these feelings with survival and success. Emotional repetition builds momentum that can overcome even the strongest resistance. This is why emotion is the rocket fuel behind your transformation. It powers your persistence, your resilience, your courage to face the unknown. Understand this, the words you repeat are promises to yourself. Each repetition is a contract between who you are now and who you are becoming. When you say, "I will succeed," you are making a promise to yourself that shapes your subconscious expectations and behaviors. These promises influence the energy you bring to every opportunity and challenge. The clearer and stronger your promises, the more your subconscious aligns your thoughts, feelings, and actions to fulfill them. Your repeated words become self-fulfilling prophecies. They are not just statements, they are commitments that propel you forward. This commitment creates a cycle of accountability. Your mind starts holding you to the standards you declare. When you repeat, "I am disciplined," You create an internal pressure to act in ways that honor that discipline. When you declare, "I am worthy of success," you begin to reject anything less than that reality. This internal accountability strengthens your willpower and sharpens your focus. It makes giving up less and less an option. You become relentless in pursuing the life you've promised yourself because your repeated words have forged an unbreakable bond between desire and action. The reality you live in tomorrow depends entirely on the words you choose to repeat today. This is your power and your responsibility. Your repeated words can either trap you in limitations or set you free to reach heights you never thought possible. They are the foundation of your self-belief and the engine of your transformation. So be intentional, be bold. Repeat the words that light up your soul and ignite your courage. Repeat them with fierce love and unshakable conviction, because the life you desire is built one repeated word at a time.